Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's Carla Archer and Terry Sandeman. We're here tonight with our Foundation Fundamentals. And, when we first started out with Foundation Fundamentals, we were going to be talking about some of the points I talked about back in November. But wow, talk about pivot and change direction. Who could have predicted all of this? So anyways, we're here tonight with Dr. Mark Debrincat, VP of Clinical Studies with Fox Life. And we know this new Neurovax is creating such an enormous buzz. We all have questions, and we're here tonight just to talk to Dr. Mark and ask him a few of those questions that we have in the field so we can better share this information with our customers and our clients and prospects. Hi, Dr. Mark. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. How are you guys tonight?
Great. Good to see you. Hi, Jerry. In Colorado behind you, I see.
It is an absolutely beautiful day here in Colorado. And for a change, last week was snowing. Week before that, we were playing golf. Week before that, there was snow. But, hopefully this was the last time and we can enjoy a little bit of sunshine for a little while.
Yeah, let's hope that we can get outside and enjoy it in the company of others soon, not just on our own.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Walk through the bush ourselves, but no, we're really excited and very grateful that you've taken the time to jump on a call with us. We've got some really exciting things already happening, stories coming back already with this amazing technology we now call Neurovax, and we're very grateful that you've jumped on the call tonight, aren't we, Carla?
Yeah, we sure are. Thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you for making that great video. What a tool for us to use in the field. I mean, when we're learning about this, an associate of mine on my team and I were talking, and she goes, "Who would have thought we'd now be talking about blood?" She said, and I said, "Exactly."
Right.
So,
oh my goodness, yeah. So that's been such an exciting journey too. I was up in Toronto last month, and when I was there, Jay was revealing the Neurovax patch, and he was telling me all about what we're going to see and how people are going to be sick in bed for who knows, weeks, months. Some people, we're going to put that patch on, and within a day, they're going to be getting up and walking around. And he was so confident with that. And I appreciated his confidence, but I don't share confidence until I can back it up with something tangible. I'm like the mad scientist side of it. So I was very excited to be able to get that dark field microscope and be able to start shooting video of live blood and being able to correlate it with brain maps and do it baselines on people, and then do it an hour, then 12 hours and 24 hours later. And what we saw, I would have been shocked if I saw it in one person out of all the people we did, but literally to see the same thing happening in everybody. I get it now why Jay has such confidence in changing the physiology in the body, simply because we're finally found the code that connects the central nervous system to that peripheral, specifically areas of immunity and that regulate immunity. And, so much of our health is in the blood. And so when we can see blood that's functioning poorly, all of a sudden break up and function the way it's supposed to function and much more optimally, it only makes sense that physiology changes. Right. So, we can change the chemistry, we can change the biology, and that changes the physiology. And so healthy blood's going to equal healthy tissues. And, seeing as we're constantly in the process of repairing cells in our body, whatever type of cells they are, our immune system plays a role in that. And in our ability to make a viable cell, we literally make 3 billion copies of our DNA and pick the best one out of the 3 billion. And that's the one that makes it into the new cell. So imagine if that neural loop of communication between the central nervous system and whatever organ we're talking about all of a sudden becomes robust, and all the clarity comes into that signal. Now, all of a sudden, those organs and those glands and those things that are regulating our immunity, have red alert, all hands on deck, and they are hearing things and understanding the information very clearly, unlike before. Bottom line is we all live in a time where there's so much toxins and chaos and pollution and EMF and, all sorts of things that we're exposing ourselves to that's running havoc on our cells. And it's running havoc on the way that we can repair ourselves and continue to maintain a life where we're thriving and we're not sick. And unfortunately, we live in a world that's mostly chasing symptoms and not really get into the root cause. And I've always had the faith in the human body and the innate intelligence within us that brought two cells together, made one cell, and within 9 months turned it into 100 trillion cells. The intelligence that did that didn't abandon me once I was born and leave me a victim to all the pollution and circumstances. It's working 24/7 and overtime to keep me as healthy as it possibly can and keep me alive. And so to have a company that has this amazing wearable neurotech that not only can enhance brainstem and basically all our neurology with the HPT, which is our human performance technology, but then we have our cognitive boost technology, and this can, go into high gear on just the front and back of our brain and give that the best neurology that it needs, so all 10 of your cognitive networks can thrive and do exactly what you're trying to make them do. Now we have this neuroplastic immune optimization. So this is called NIO, N-I-O, and that's the new abbreviation for it. I know I'm kind of getting ahead. That was one of the questions down the road.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I just put it up on the banner because, what do we call this?
But the neoplastic immune optimization. So just like we talked about in the past through showing with all the brain maps and then showing now people that have worn the HPT technology for even over 2 years now, and we're seeing the progression of the brain constantly getting better and better the longer you're wearing that. That's because it's creating something called neuroplasticity. This is when you're challenging the central nervous system to an extent that you're one little bit beyond what you're capable of doing. And when you're in that space, that's the only time you grow new tissue in your brain and in your spine. And so this is amazing. Before 2008, we didn't know this could happen. And now we know that it does. Now, the cells that make up your brain are the same ones you were born with and the same ones you're going to die with. So they're not constantly replacing themselves like your body does. So our HPT technology is optimizing that central nervous system. It's optimizing the brain. And then with the leftover power that it's giving you, you go to wherever I think is the most necessary first. And so it's not like saying, hey, this is going to do this in your body. Hey, this is going to open up the communication in your central nervous system, allow it to basically come back online. Think of an aircraft that all the power has been knocked off and now they're bringing all the switches back online. As soon as everything's back online, I can communicate not only within the cabin, but to ground control and to everybody, into other airplanes and so forth, all the communications online. So we do a lot of things that purposely knock our stuff offline. Whether it's just stress that we're holding on to and not forgiving and just letting go of things that we can't control, or whether it's the chemical abuse or the physical abuse we do to our bodies in a lot of cases. And so it's imperative now more than ever that we maintain an optimal nervous system. And so that's what our HPT does. And for cognition, we always want to perform at our best. So there's times when we really need that cognitive boost. We have that. And now for the first time, his mind child that's been going on for over a decade in his mind. And for the last 2.5 years since I've been with him, we've had many discussions about this because we needed something that's going to protect our immune system and to protect our nervous system from invaders, things like toxins that we're exposed to, even in medicines and so forth. A lot of these things have toxins that we're choosing to be exposed to because the side benefit of what I'm taking it outweighs the risk that it's going to cause. But bottom line, they all cause things. And so if we could find a way to connect those neural reflexes between our central nervous system and our neural responses, basically we're just sending messages and our nervous system's responding to those messages and then adapting to what we need. So when those neural reflexes and immune responses come back and forth and actually start communicating, it's like you just went from a dial-up modem to a Cat 5 And now all of a sudden the data exchange is amazing. And now also we wonder why all the systems came back online and I can function this better. And the little circle's not, the hourglass isn't waiting on my computer. I hit it and it's instant. That's what it's like when you put this tech on. Your nervous system just becomes instant response. Those neural reflexes are amazing. And now those areas that are connecting to your nervous system are the ones responsible for all of this endocrine system, your immune system, the temperature control, the pH in your body, and the blood is regulating all of these things. So when we can see this thing happen and change the blood so quickly, oh my goodness, it's like we are really, really onto something.
Yeah, that's, I mean, the early findings, I mean, I know that you were surprised as anybody, and it was really amazing on the corporate call where you said, and I know that, you know, we always seem to understand things better when it happens to us or when we look at it. And I know that even with the HPT technology, you did brain mapping. And now with the, you know, the dark field microscope and the live blood analysis, you saw the improvements in your blood in a doctor who continually your pursuit, you've worked your own health back since the car accident and those tragic days of the car accident, and you have continually made it a pursuit to do the best you can to take care of your body. And again, thought, is this possible? Is this really kind of possible? And then when you do it, I mean, I shared your excitement. Yeah. This was like incredible to know what was happening, because I know about pulse electromagnetic field therapy. I know about the rouleau effect, and I know about how, you know, unhealthy that is for your blood. And so to see those changes happen, and you know the timeline that it took to do it in such a short window was really, really exciting to have an understanding of that. And that's what we want to be able to share with the field. And so, you know, I think you've talked a little bit about what is this technology doing to our bodies and how is this a benefit. I think you've touched a little bit about that. Now, I don't know if you want to touch anything more on that, Doc. Or
well, let me state a couple things. First of all, I've looked at this dark field imagery for decades. So this isn't like this is the first time I've seen blood and I'm so excited. This is the first time I've seen something change it that doesn't relate to a drug, a chemical, or electricity. And so we've seen it change the blood. But even then, it's temporary. It's usually just for a few hours. And so you would have to constantly remember to be applying something or repeating something and continuing to do something all the time to try to have that effect for a full day. And then when you're sleeping, you lose it, right? So to find something that, you know, for 48 hours straight is going to have this effect, and it's not going to relate to a chemical or a nutrient or electricity, that was just absolutely mind-blowing. And to see it happen so fast, I was expecting not to really see anything until probably the 12 or 24 hour mark. But in pretty much every case, even within the first hour. And again, these are people that were not using eSmarter or HPT or any of the other Vox products in conjunction with it, or even prior to it for at least 24 hours. So this really is the effect of just this Neurovax patch, yeah.
So that leads to a question of how often, in your opinion, how often can someone, or how often should someone wear this technology?
So that's a great question. And so to answer that, let me just talk about two different concepts when it relates to your immune system and your immunity. So there's certain things we do, and we do them every day because it just makes sense that it's an immune system regulator. So that's like certain antioxidants, certain nutrients, certain things that you just kind of want to have at your readily disposal every single day, because it helps you regulate those immune responses and that immune system much more accurately and quickly and more robustly. Okay. And so those are immune system regulators. And then when there's times that you're, you know, under attack and I'm feeling symptomatic and I know I'm fighting something, we go for our immune system boosters. These are the things that are going to just like boom, bombard our whole immune system with a lot more soldiers to fight the battle and all the things I need to change the chemistry in the body to make the battle winning on a favorable side. And so those are ones that we just do occasionally. So I originally thought this Neurovax patch was going to be a booster. Like you're going to put it on when you're not feeling good and you're going to feel better. And it absolutely is that. So for some people, they will just use it in that aspect because they feel pretty good all the time anyway. But occasionally they might feel a little run down or feel a little stressed or have an injury or a wound that they're trying to heal. So they're going to put it on to be that immune boost. But I will say that after seeing all this blood work and on healthy people and people that had issues, I realized this is an absolute immune regulator. This is the category of our immune system regulator. And it's kind of like the brain map. When I first had the Vox socks and the insoles, I had them for about 5 months. And I wore them sporadically, and I didn't really know if I knew a difference or not. And so I was a skeptic. They were calling them brain socks. I'm a brain doctor. It's like, come on, there's no such thing as brain socks. But once I saw that brain map on myself, it was like it did two things. Number one, I instantly fell in love with Vox Life because I knew that it was aligned with something that is absolutely changing the world. But number two, I said to myself immediately in my mind, I'm never taking these things off. Like, why would I? It doesn't make any sense. I was just wearing them when I played pickleball and did different sports and worked out and stuff. And it's like, no, this is an everyday thing from this moment on. And so prior to having to take them off to be part of the study on the blood for the Neurovax, that was the first day I went a whole day without them. And so I think seeing my own blood, like so many other people, it's kind of having that same effect on me. Because here I thought I was already doing all the right things, and yet my blood wasn't perfect, And so it got perfect real quick. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, if I have no symptoms and I'm feeling this great right now, imagine how much better I'll feel if I was having an issue. But think of it this way too. Like one of the reasons I even survived my head-on collision when I went through that accident is because I was so healthy going into the accident. Sure. I was training martial arts hardcore every day for over, 15 years at that time. 20 years, something like that. I was not overweight. I took tons of vitamins my whole life. It's like, I was at this place in my life where I was super healthy and at the prime of my life. So being healthy going into a trauma, you're much more likely to get out the other side, not only quicker, but a lot of times survive because of your health going in. And so we think of a time like now, we're all under quarantine. We're not all sick. We don't all have symptoms, but we're all on lockdown because there's some serious contagion stuff out there. So why wouldn't we want our immune reflexes being sharp at this point? I think 100% it needs to be on 24/7, for a while until we get past the threats of things that we're exposed to. If I had to go into any medical treatment where they had to give me injections for whatever reason, I would make sure I had the patch on then for sure. And if I'm putting myself in big crowds of people, I guess we're going to have to be thinking that way now, because there's always going to be people that are probably contagious. And so we want to do things to keep our immunity strong. I feel very confident if I have this on that my blood's going to identify things real quickly as soon as it enters in. And, we're seeing it. We're seeing those white blood cell activity. And it's like it's a soda that's fizzing. And you can see the inside of it. There's metabolic stuff happening. It's secreting enzymes that are dissolving the debris and the bad cells and the bugs that it's engulfing and cleaning up for us. And so we want those guys to be able to see what's out and go get them and not be like in this crowd with all these red blood cells stacked against them everywhere. And like, okay, I'm only cleaning things that are rubbing against me at this point. I'm not going out and finding anything. And so it just goes back to function. If things are open and we can, carry oxygen, carry nutrients, things are going to function better. And so we're already seeing amazing testimonies with people. And, testimonies never really move me until I know the science. So I haven't been really watching for testimonies. And now that we've seen enough science that I'm convinced that now we're hearing people that have been sick for weeks and all of a sudden their cough's gone, they're getting up, they're, different things on their skin healed, different things they've been trying to deal with for a long time healed. Okay, so we're not claiming that this heals anything, guys. This isn't something that we're diagnosing pathologies and saying, look at this, cured this. No, this is just, again, connecting your central nervous system to the organs that are regulating those immune responses. And so, we're seeing the body clean things up better. We're seeing it work more efficiently. We're seeing the little soldiers that are moving about and tagging and removing things in the blood, doing their job better. And after all, that's where our immunity lies. It's all on how well we're responding to our environment that determines our level of health, not what symptoms we have. You could have no symptoms and have cancer inside and not even feel it. Okay, but that doesn't mean that it's good. If our immune responses are working better, we're going to be able to fight things in the hidden things that we're not seeing and feeling as well.
And earlier, I would imagine, too. Get on top of it quicker.
You may never know that you had it.
Yeah, exactly. So amazing.
So, Dr. Mark, you talked a little bit about HPT and CBT. One of the questions we had was, do we know yet, or does this enhance or work in conjunction with HPT and CBT?
Well, absolutely. None of the technologies are well, let me just say it this way. They all do the best that they can do with the target of the nervous system that they're going for. And so think of Vox Life is a big ring of janitor keys, and each one of our technologies is a different key. So it's going to unlock different parts of your neurology. And so the master key to everything is our HPT. And so that's the one he gave us first, because by unlocking the brainstem first, if your blood was the biggest issue you had, it would go brainstem and they would fix the part of the brain that's controlling the glands that are making your blood, your spleen, your bone marrow, that kind of thing. And so that's the beauty of HPT. It's always going after the thing that's most threatening to your nervous system and to your brain first, and it brings that back online. Now, the cognitive boost technology, that is only designed for frontal and occipital lobe. So it's a different janitor key. It's opening up the rooms that you need to go into when we're driving the ship and we're being cognitive and I'm having to engage and laterally think and overcome options. I'm going to grab that key. Now, if my first technology unlocked my brainstem and went right to one of those areas because that was what I needed worse, once the second technology came in and took care of those rooms, my first one that opened up the master key to everything, it's going to go find other rooms. That's just the nature of it. It's always going to find the worst area. So if the sleeve already took the first area back online, the HPT will never go there and need to do anything there. It's going to go somewhere else. Now, if my first thing was my immune system was so weak that when I put these socks on my feet, all of a sudden my immune system woke up and I got healthier. It did brainstem and went right to my immune system. Well, now I take the patch that connects all the immunity to my central nervous system. Now my HPT, it's going to go fix something else. It's going to go to the next best area, and it's going to let those other things run the show because they control the whole floor. CPT is the cognitive boost. It's a whole wing of the hospital, or it's a whole wing of the building that's just cognitive stuff. And so we have that key. Now, pretty soon we're coming out with one for sleep, and that's our REM patch. And that's a whole nother key to open up a whole nother department that does all these sleep studies. It helps you regulate your neurology while you're sleeping. And so it's amazing to be part of a company that literally has all the codes to unlock and enhance communication through your nervous system when things get disrupted and offline.
Wow, what a great analogy. I remember the janitor, always at school that had that big ring of keys, and he had the door that opened, the set of keys that opened everything, And, what a great analogy. It makes it very, very easy to understand. So, we talk about, maybe some concerns, or is there any recommendations for people who may have an overactive immune system, or chronic inflammation, or any autoimmune symptoms, or a compromised immune system, an immune system that might be suppressed or whatever. Is there any concerns with our Neurovax patch that you would consider to be a concern, Dr. Mark?
No, and let me just say that with as much confidence that Jay has, is there's zero contraindications to using this technology as far as causing harm to you. So like, it's not like the patch you're going to put it on and we're guaranteeing 100,000 more white blood cells to go fight your battles. Okay. So it's not directly changing the physiology. It's connecting the neurology back to the gland or the organ that's misfiring. Okay. It's not communicating well to the nervous system. So we're having this chronic systemic inflammation problem. There's some part of the neurology that basically has a red light going off in that little room saying, this is off, this is off. And so this is only reconnecting the neural net so that the body communicates to that swollen ankle or whatever it is better. And then you're going to have a better physiological response because my immune system response is super sharp. So if my immune system immediately gets the message and we have communication to the bridge and it's saying, we have too many soldiers here, I'm not going to produce more white blood cells. I'm going to produce things to eliminate those white blood cells and get them out of that area as quick as possible. That's a different immune response. So the immune response is not what we're creating with the technology. We're getting the system back online so it knows the proper reflex and the proper response to what's going on in the body. So one of the other examples was an organ transplant. And for people that have organ transplants, they get put on an immune suppressive drug. And so you can't do anything to give them immunity and build it. You can't give them antioxidants and tell them to go get on a PMF machine because, it's going to increase the circulation of the white blood cells. And if those white blood cells find that organ, a lot of them, before the neurology connects to the nervous system, it's going to think it's foreign.
Yeah.
And so you can't do things to boost the immunity. But this one, we're not boosting the immunity. We're reconnecting the immunity to the central nervous system. And doing that, it's going to regulate itself. And it's going to do it in a much better way when it has the information than if it's just taking a shot in the dark and guessing.
Perfect.
Well, we're getting a lot of really great comments. We have 213 people on the call here tonight. I'm just going to show a couple of them. This one here says that they've had it on for 13 hours. Their diaphragm stopped spasming this morning after 13 years, and vertigo stopped within about 10 hours.
It's amazing. My wife suffered with that same thing for over a decade as well. Fortunately figured it out before now, but my heart goes out to you because I know how annoying and how uncomfortable that is.
That's awesome.
Somebody else talking about their blood pressure results and the best results that they've got in months. So pretty exciting stuff. So,
awesome.
Yeah, we've got a lot of very excited viewers on here today. I guess you have talked quite a bit, Dr. Mark, about the Neurovax patch and the technology, but when it's described this way, neuroplastic optimization and harmonization of the communication loop between the brainstem, the vagus nerve, the thymus, and spleen, could you explain that to us just a little bit more in a way maybe just the average person could understand what that means?
So take vagus nerve, thymus, and spleen, and it's doing way more than just those things. That's an example of glands and cranial nerves that are helping regulate the immune system. Okay, so don't make it more confusing than it has to be. You don't have to know that the spleen creates red blood cells and that the vagus nerve is cranial nerve 10 that connects the diaphragm to Broadband area 24 and 25 in the brain, and that is the gut-brain connection. And so a lot of our immunity comes from our gut and the communication between the bacteria in our gut, and that vagus nerve plays a super important role with that. And so we're affecting Broadband area 24 and 25, and I can show the slides of that. And so think of it in this way more so.
You can go and share your screen, I think, Doc.
Yeah, let me make sure. Let me pull up PowerPoint. Okay, open. It's making me do some things with Chrome. Oh no, I can't do it without jumping off and back on again. I don't think. Oh, maybe I can. Application window. Let me open up PowerPoint. I'm sorry guys for the delay.
Yeah, no
But
problem.
this will really help. I'll just share my whole screen.
Okay, I'll put that up for you.
Whoa. Window. And I'll go full screen. All right. Can we all see that? Do you see my screen or no?
I don't know.
No. Okay. How about now?
No, I see the replication of what we have going on here. So,
All right. Let me try sharing a different way. Stop sharing.
did we lose Terry?
How about now?
Okay, just 1 second. Oh, there we go.
Okay. So in the video that we have, you've seen, blood that's all stuck together start to open up very quickly. And we see that in a few different subjects. And we did this on the call last week. But in the brain, now this isn't looking at the brain like we look at with HPT, because with HPT, I'm looking at the entire brain's neurology. This is just looking at Brodmann areas 24 and 25. That's that vagal nerve connection to the gut and in the parts of the brain that are regulating immunity only. And so we're seeing those were off within an hour. Most came back online, and within 12 hours, it was 100%. So when we look at how well it was sharing information through those networks, what we're seeing up here is a lot of overactive, like the red is 4 times too fast and the blue's 4 times too slow, but you're not supposed to see any lines at all. So we see within 12 hours, almost the entire system's back online. And then down here, Brodmann areas 24 and 25, you're not supposed to see these lines. This is a perfect functioning Brodmann areas and a much better functioning neurology that's controlling that diaphragm, spleen, like all of those things, okay? It's the hypothalamus. We talk about the amygdala, the hippocampus, the subthalamus, and thalamus. All of these networks help regulate, again, the glands and organs and things that relate to our immunity. So just at looking at the context of our immune system and these parts of our brain, we're seeing all the communication come completely back online. The blue means they're talking too slow or stop talking. The yellows mean they're starting to yell at each other and talk over each other. When there's no lines at all, it means that they have perfect communication. And so think of it again. We're connecting the brain and the central nervous system to the glands and to the parts of our body that regulate immunity. And they also regulate the blood. And that's how they communicate. That's how they bring oxygen. That's how they bring tissue, nutrients to the tissues. And so when people are wearing this patch, it's optimizing those neural responses between immune system interactions and our central nervous system. So that's the only fact that you need to pay attention to and focus on, to not only how to explain this, but how to really appreciate what it is it's dialing in the central nervous system first and opening up those channels to all the areas that are regulating our immunity and our immune reflexes. That means how fast can I respond to something when I find something that's not supposed to be there? So people that are wearing this, especially wearing it consistently, they're finding a better functioning optimal bloodstream. And with that, it's creating better chemistry, which is creating better biology, which leads into better physiological homeostasis. And that's where we're going to thrive. And that's where you get exposed to things and your immune system kills it right away and you're done with it. And it can be just that easy. your immune system has to be strong. So it's not just as easy as put the patch on and then I'm going to go abuse my body and eat horrible things and not get enough rest and do all this stuff because I got my super patch on. It will give you superpowers, but you have to be honoring your temple and eating right and doing all the right things. And you're going to see that you'll respond to injuries, to sickness, to symptoms so much faster when you have that immune boost without the side effects. That's the beautiful thing. If you don't like the way it feels or that you're feeling from it, take it off, right? And it's just that easy. I'm going to go get some water. I'll be back.
So
I just got dropped. I just got dropped into abyss. Let this be a lesson to all the viewers tonight. When you go live, use StreamYard or use Zoom and have a backup.
Yeah. Never know.
And so, Carla, thanks for having my back here.
Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. Well, you know what? It was really great because Dr. Mark just went through some of the slides that we saw in your video that we're using as a tool. And I really appreciate you going back to the brain mapping and sort of answering the question about that you're looking at a different portion of the brain than you normally would with HBT or CBT.
Right.
So thanks for clarifying that, because I know many of us in the field aren't really sure, and so that's a really great thing for us to know and to understand those differences.
So with the brain images, we can isolate very specific networks only and just see how well our central nervous system is communicating through that network. And so that's amazing, and especially when we get to next week when we show you all the presentations and everything, the tools we have for the REM patch. Because the REM patch, we can show you things in the brain maps that we've never shown you before because it wasn't pertinent. But now we can isolate very specific brain waves at very specific times of the day and night to determine how your quality of sleep is. And when I brain map somebody, you can't hide any of it from me. I'll tell you exactly what you're doing. And so when we can change and turn certain brain waves off and wake other ones up, you're not only getting into that deep REM and all of that where your healing takes place a lot longer, but you're waking up refreshed and feeling amazing. And I've studied sleep for 2 decades. I was an insomniac for 17 years, living in so much pain all the time. And so I really appreciate things that can change my sleep. And I've found lots of different nutrients and oils and things that we would do. But the thing is it's never been consistent. It's always sporadic, like a really good one night, but I can't duplicate the same, stats the next night. And so I only had the patch for a week, but every single night was reproducible. And so you guys are going to be really excited. I don't want to have any spoilers, too many more spoilers for next week, but it's going to be very exciting when you see how we're going to be able to help so many people. And the percentages of how much of each country struggles with sleep every single night is it's crazy. Yeah. Pretty much 100% of the people struggle with sleep sometimes, but high percentages struggle every single night. And that's something that we now have the ability to tap in and help them as well. So.
Excellent. And I like what you said too about this, and I think it's something that we know about HPG too, and we've sort of been brought up on that, if you will, is that it's something to use in conjunction with everything else that we're doing to take care of ourselves. Like you said, it's not like you can put this patch on and just eat whatever you want and do whatever you want. It's all about working on your wellness, really, isn't it?
You can't just wash your hands 12 times and stay 6 feet away from people and expect your immunity to have a better and stronger response. So we need the patch first, and then we do all the right things like hygiene, and appropriate distance and what have you, for a little bit longer until this thing passes.
Well, that answers the question right away. During this pandemic, would you suggest wearing this all the time? And
oh man, yeah, we do not take it off. And just saying, I get in the hot tub for 30 minutes to an hour a day. And this has been on for 2 days, plenty of hot tub time, and it still sticks great. So it's the real deal. This is designed to work and to be comfortable and to last. for the time that it says to last. So if you treat it right, once you pull it off, it's not going to stick back on again. So
exactly. Now we've talked about the category of HPT and CBT, and so this is kind of in a category of its own.
Well, this is NIO.
NIO. So that's the acronym we should be using with that is NIO.
Yeah.
Under neuroimmune optimization.
Neoplastic immune optimization.
Okay, neoplastic immune optimization. So people, if you've got that and somebody asks you HPT, CBT, no, the acronym is neuroplastic immune optimization.
So let me wrap that up, because we started talking about that when I was talking about neuroplasticity, is when you're challenging the system and you're one step beyond. It doesn't just happen in the brain. Neuroplasticity happens everywhere in the body. And if you've damaged nerves somewhere, your neuroplasticity will grow new nerves and route them around the damaged area and reconnect back where they need to get the information through damaged areas. And so neuroplasticity is happening all the time. So this is neuroplastic or neoplastic because it's growing new tissue between those connections, not just turning them on. You know, initially it's turning the switches on. So we have like all this new power. Wow, all the lights in the ship just came on. All the radar's back on. All of our systems are back on. That's amazing. But the longer we keep it on, the stronger and the thicker those cables of communication become. That's neuroplasticity. And that's how we proved all that already with the year's study, where people that have worn it for a year, and I'm doing brain maps without socks on and without socks on, and their brain is 10 times better than it was the year before. That doesn't just happen by default. You have to work at that. And so we know this is doing neuroplasticity, which means growing new nerves on a slow basis all the time. So if you're wearing it and growing new connections between all those neural reflexes that you're trying to strengthen, you're making them more robust permanently. And so, you know, think of it like, I think we figured it out. It was $720 for a year's supply. So $720, your blood's healthy, your immune system's healthy, your neural responses are healthy, but the neural connections between all those organs in a year from now are going to be 10 times better than they are now, even without the patch on. So think of it that way, is it's not just a temporary thing, like I get a 48-hour window of health. It's I'm building health every single day I'm wearing these technologies.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like brain maps that we're seeing with the HPT technology, you know, consistent wear after 8 months and after 12 months. I mean, it's remarkable. So you can only imagine with this, what's going to happen in time.
Think of our younger generation that becomes 65 years old. And if the entire planet was wearing this, we wouldn't have dementia and Alzheimer's and all of these neural degenerative diseases that 65 and older are so many people are afflicted by. And it's not like they were going out, they just caught the disease. This is neurological decline over years because they didn't have something on that was optimizing that neural connection and keeping it enhanced so that the body knows how to repair itself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it all boils down to. So if we do this, we're not only cracking the key to longevity, you know, and the fountain of youth, but we're creating a more robust system the longer we're wearing it. So it's going to have that inverse aging effect, you know, in the long run. I can't wait to see people that have been on it for 20 years and look at what their skin looks like. Look at what their body looks like. Look at how their mind is, right? I mean, this is,
it's all going to be the new 30.
Yeah.
That's right.
That could be awesome. So do you mind if we just take a couple of questions that some people have? Just what you were talking about. Of course, similar to all of our other technology, you know, we always say, try it and see what it does for you. But the question always comes back to, do we have studies? Do we have something we can share with people right now? Or is that something that we're working on?
No, like everything else, studies take a long time. And this is the first rendition of it. So, you know, believe us, we will have all sorts of things, especially once our HPT studies are finished, that are done, you know, class 2 from hospitals and all of that. Then that just opens up the door. Then they'll grab and be doing every one of our technologies immediately from every angle, from every condition. It'll just take off like wildfire. So, right now we just have to keep proving it. We have thousands of doctors that are with us, in our practitioner program, sharing it with their patients, tens of thousands of video testimonies of people that aren't trying to sell a product. They're showing you that this absolutely works. And so we know the code works. I mean, oh my gosh, I have as much confidence with Jay now, and I've only just done my own studies on dozens of blood myself, but dozens of studies with blood.
I think what's really exciting, Doc, is that we way back when in 2016 and prior to, we didn't have studies. We didn't have all the things.
We didn't have a brain map.
Yeah, we didn't have what we have today. We had basically Jay's undaunting persistence, belief, stick-to-itiveness, despite all odds. And we started with 40 or 45 people in a room. And, the studies came, the stories came, and so on. The same thing has happened with CBT, and the same thing is going to happen with every one of our techs. But as you said, once a lot of these conclusive studies come out with HPT, they're going to grab everything that we have and embrace that and say, we're really, really onto something in the neurology. And when Dr. Thatcher said this is the biggest breakthrough in neurology in the last 50 years, I don't think he says that lightly.
No, not at all.
So that's what's really, really exciting. So,
let me say something else too, that, we have the privilege of being pioneers right now and having access to this. And it's not just in the hospitals and just in the research labs and, just in our mad scientist's possession. We have the privilege of tapping into this and literally helping 1 million people yourself right now. Once the rest of these studies are out, I mean, we already know the results. That's just it. It's just a matter of the timing of getting things published now with the lockdown and everything else. Who knows? It's in God's timing. But once that happens, now it's a household name. It would be used in every surgery. They put it on people before surgery just so there's less complications. They're going to respond better, neurologically, physiologically to anesthesia and everything that they're doing. It's just going to be a household name. It'll be part of everything. And you're going to be able to say, hey, yeah, we've been involved with them long before it was into all of the hospitals and before it was sold throughout the world, and it was just a household name. And those that are smart right now and pull in the right people, you're going to be set for the rest of your life financially because of the residual income that comes from it. And so, for every dollar a company spends on prevention, they save $6 on workers' comp cases. And so this is not something that they don't want to just welcome in. They do if it works. And so like everything else is red tape, and people, certain things need to see studies before one company sticks their neck out and says, I'm going to, be the one that buys it for my 1 million employees, but it's all coming, and I know that you can't keep this quiet because it's in the hands of somebody who answers to nobody but God. Right. And he's not going to let anybody take this company and overcharge so only the elite get access to this stuff. He's keeping it to where everybody can afford to do it. And, for less than a cup of coffee, you have this neural response that's not just keeping your immune system protected for today and tomorrow. It's growing new connections in that immune system. And it's helping you in ways that, a year of wearing this thing, you might be so sharp in ways that your immune system has never been. Think of the people that have had chronic conditions their entire life and never had the neural connections to change anything. And the drugs don't heal you, and the drugs don't change you. They change you for a specific amount of time as long as the drug's in there doing what it's supposed to be doing. And so it's not healing you. Only you can heal you. And so we're going to see things unprecedented. We're going to see amazing studies on very specific conditions, even though we're not treating any condition. But we're going to see things, like severe neurological compromised people put all 5 patches that are coming, on this person and just see what happens. It's going to be absolutely life-changing for so many people. So many people.
Mark, because a lot of people are again going back to, can we wear all of the patches? And maybe they didn't hear you talking about all the different rooms, if you will, that analogy. But
Right.
you're exactly right. We can wear them all the technology at the same time because it's working in different departments.
Right. And it's just neural connections. It's just a bunch of code that's unraveling a bunch of chaos in your nervous system. So it's not a drug that you have to metastasize for so many hours to get it back out of you. And I'm weary of trying it because, oh my gosh, what if I have a bad reaction to that? I could be swollen up for days. I'm so sensitive to certain things. This isn't like that. This is tapping your nervous system in and bringing the ship back online. It can fly better. Everything functions better. All the environment is better, inside and outside. Everything works better for our neurology, works better. And so think of, you're a human being that has multiple systems that make you up, but the first and most important one is your nervous system. And it's guiding and dictating and directing the function of all 100 trillion cells. So as the communication in that gets better, whatever you're dealing with will get better. Don't worry about it. Don't try to label it. Certainly don't say that I'm a fibromyalgia, or whatever your condition is. Don't say that that's you, because it's not you. It's something that you had, but that was just a while ago. You got past it, and it's like your body healed and you're a human being. That's who we are. So, don't stay tied to your pains and conditions. Just trust that, we're going to always find things. I wish I had tools like this back when I was disabled and trying to find my way out of it. I mean, think about how much faster and quicker I would have responded. I wouldn't have wasted years in a wheelchair and years on medications that were never trying to fix anything other than take my pain from an 11 to an 8. And so, and I would have died without them. It's like, I appreciate those medications when I needed them, absolutely. But I certainly would have rather been like a 7 or a 6 or a 5 or a 0 pain any day of the week. And so to have things now that we can tap into, again, without the side effects and without, if I'm not liking the way I feel, take it off. Now, I have had my daughter, she put the patch on, the Neurovax on her arm, and her arm was sore for a few hours, like she worked out or something. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's the patch or not. Maybe it is. So I took the patch off and put it on the other arm. And she goes, yeah, now that arm feels kind of sore. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I figured it was identifying there's some communication going on here and it's decoding it or something was happening. But by the next day, it wasn't sore anymore. So, and she's had it on for like, several days now. So we're still learning. We don't know all the answers, but I know that I trusted what was going on. So it didn't scare me. I think a very small percentage of people might feel something like that. I don't know what was going on with her and why, but her immune system was on it, right? And then she got better. And so, we're all keeping it on because, this is just the time we want to be as sharp as we possibly can and heal some things. And so.
Dr. Mark, one of the questions that has come up a few times in this stream is, as associates in the field or practitioners, now we have Neurovax and we have HPT. What do we recommend to our clients first, or how do we go about dealing with that? How would you suggest?
That's a great question. I am always a fan of HPT first. We got to fix the brainstem and get the communication through that brainstem optimized if I expect all these other things to do their job. Okay, and do them as well as possible. I know that has the power to adapt and to go anywhere my body needs it, whenever I need it, whatever crisis is coming up that becomes the most important thing. And so that to me is still the foundation. That's the most important. Now, if somebody, let's say, is a patient and they have an autoimmune disease and they're very sick and they're compromised and they can't afford to do both, I would do Neurovax first. And so again, there might be circumstances that's the deal. If it's not about money, HPT first, then we do the Neurovax on top of that. And if there are cognitive issues, I would add eSmarter into that equation pretty quickly as well, so that we can optimize as much of the neurology as possible. So then all I got to do is a lot less. Otherwise, I have to help them optimize all their neurology. So if these technologies can, pick up some slack and help me get the person better faster and then keep them well. Well, after all, that's why we're practitioners, right? That's the key to being in practice, is find out the quickest way to get your patients better and stay well, without masking anything, but fixing the cause of things. And so, this all taps right into that. Now, if somebody came to me and their primary reason for coming to me was, I'm an insomniac and I can't sleep, I would start with the REM patch. Okay. And if that doesn't work as well as they'd like, then I'd add the HPT next, to that, and then add the Neurovax next to that. So, you kind of just have to use a little bit of common sense. Is the condition I'm dealing with related to blood flow? If that's the case, Neurovax would probably be the way to start. If my condition is relating to more neurological, like stress, things like that, anxiety, depression, ADD, things neurological that, things are wound up too much or don't wake up enough. Always HPT. I'm thinking that first. And so pretty soon, we'll have some other things that are coming down the pipeline too. But, to answer the question in the fewest words, I would always pick HPT first and then build on that, unless the person couldn't afford it and their primary symptom is relating to one of the other technologies. It would just make sense to do that one first.
Excellent. Well, that really helps. Thank you so much. I know a lot of people were asking that question, and they're very grateful for that answer. So thank you, Dr. Mark.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's really exciting is one of the questions could be, people that are sick, that have just discovered this, somebody that might be in a contagious stage, or somebody that has already got a cold or a fever or something already set in. Will this help their body adequately recover or get better from this situation faster if they just
100%. If you put it on when you're already compromised, the patch is going to act as an immune system booster initially until it deals with what it has to deal with, and then it'll turn into the regulator. Okay. Right. It doesn't know the difference. The patch doesn't know the difference between the two, but your nervous system sure does. Sure. And if it's compromised and all of a sudden 50 more soldiers show up, they're like, praise God, more soldiers this way, that room and that room, run. They're just immediately on the job. It's not like, okay, well, you guys aren't trained yet, so y'all have a seat. We're in the middle of a war here, and so it's not going to stop things from helping become the booster. It's like putting guns in their hands, saying, it's just take the safety off and shoot. You'll figure it out. We don't need training. You need to run and help. And so, certainly it's going to act as a booster. And we've already seen that. We've had people both come get tested with all of this that are super healthy, and we've had people that are not healthy. And so we're already seeing, in fact, just like we see in the HPT technology, the more compromised your neurology is, the greater and faster response you're going to have to this technology. Because you got to think of it, if your neurology is compromised, again, using the analogy of different aircrafts or ships, the communication's down. I don't have radar. I can't communicate to anybody else and let them know what's going on with me. I'm compromised. And so we need to get the communication back online, and then the battle can be won. Sure. And so, this is just helping restore lines of communication through all networks relating to battle, immunity and things that we have to fight and constantly be regulating. So our temperature, constantly important. We can fluctuate within a few degrees, but the pH in your blood, it can't fluctuate even a tenth, or you can go into a diabetic coma and die. You can't carry oxygen. So the pH there is like super important that it stays buffered and regulated. So that's an immune response. And so these are reflexes that become sharper. Your ability to keep it in the homeostasis zone, it's gotten greater. It's like, you walk that straight path, but every now we waver, we just don't want to waver too far from that straight path. And so think of these technologies as keeping us close to the pathway we're supposed to stay on, and we don't get into the bush too far, before we self-correct.
Absolutely. Well, already in our testimonials group and people, I don't think the Neurovax patch has been out for even a week.
Yeah, a week today.
And the stories that we're seeing already, and I have a personal story from somebody in my own family who has been ill since the end of February, and was getting quite concerned. Knew nothing about these. I got them hooked up on these, and in 48 hours, it's the first time they've been up and gone for a car ride. And I got some pretty excited family members that have been, changing and thinking that pills were bad and this and that. And I'm getting this, and they're not even thinking about the pills now. They're thinking about the fact that they're getting better, and it's shocking to them, right? Yeah, awesome. So what was exciting was I heard the words, "I need more." So,
we all
that, sort of answers that question. As an associate, for $2 a day, are you going to roll the dice with your immune system? And so really that's a question you have to ask yourself. And I know for myself and my family, and probably like a lot of people on this call, you should neither. And, I like to put myself in the category of, like our HPT of reducing the risk by 31% of falling. I want to be in that category. Yeah. I want my balance improved. That gives me that improved percentage of not falling. So if this is going to optimize my neurology or my physiology and get my immune system to an optimized position, then for $2 a day, like you said, a cup of coffee, I'll quit coffee if I have to. Yeah. You know what I mean? So very exciting. So thank you.
Few people, why do you change the oil in your car? Well, it's so it doesn't get sticky and gummy and gunk everything up and your car doesn't die. Well, it's similarly for me when I see it, that's how I translate it to my body. Because if I can keep my blood flowing like nice clean oil, everything's going to work a lot better. And
it makes sense.
Yeah, and people spend money to change the oil in their car, so it's a great preventative for keeping this machine going, I guess.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, Carla, that we can throw at Dark? We've been an hour now, so.
Yeah, an hour. There's tons of questions, of course, but I think we picked up on the majority of the most common ones. That was really great information, Dr. Mark, to really help us better understand in the field how to talk about this technology, what to recommend, how it works with the other technologies that we have out there. So thank you so much for your time.
Well, this is why we keep creating more videos for you too. So we don't mix the message, so hopefully the videos can do all the education as much as you need it to, so that's my goal. We have a lot more coming out. We're just constantly working on these things to make the field, be able to connect and get people to take action faster without needing all of the facts.
I know that the field, I know how much we appreciate you and how grateful we are to, the professional yet simple terms you can help the field with to put it in. I know you could elaborate a lot more, but to put it into understandable and simple terms that we can relate and what to say is really, really grateful, or is really, really helpful to the field, Doc. And we really appreciate the time that you've taken to come on this call tonight and share. And I might be knocking on your door again real soon if these questions come in, and we'll maybe do this again at a time that's convenient for you, because I think it's very, these impromptu lives, the StreamYard system seems to work really, really good. And thank you, Carla, for putting this together and hosting this with the banners and so on. And I think the field is going to get a lot of value out of this, and we'll have a better understanding so that we can share and ultimately help towards our goal, walk towards our goal of helping 1 billion people and beyond. So
that's awesome.
Thanks from me, and thank you, Carla, as well.
You guys. All right. Good night, everybody.
Thanks very much.
And we'll do this again soon.
Take care.
All right. Bye now.